the student's file. The file must indicate who made the request and the legitimate interest in seeking the information. Along with many parents, I am concerned about the recent collection of statements from students concerning Mrs. Steverson. On February 18th, a number of students were called into the principal's office and were told they needed to write down what happened in Mrs. Steverson's class 10 weeks earlier on December 16th. Without parental notification or parental consent, students were pressured, embarrassed, and put on the spot to recall Mrs. Steverson's actions as they pertained to being insubordinate to the administration. Now I want to state this again. Not one parent outside the parents that are employed by Bethlehem High School were given the opportunity to consent or even know that their children were being put in this position. A position that at the very minimum will change another person's life forever and potentially have lasting negative effects on their own lives. Why would these students be put in this position after a fourth of a school year has passed? Why would the principal and superintendent deny the right of parents to participate in this life-altering task that these minor students had to face? Some students have expressed their anxiety before, during, and after the collection of statements occurred. Students were concerned that if they didn't write the right thing, that the principal would be upset with them, or they could potentially hurt Mrs. Steverson. Some have even stated that during their time in the principal's office, they questioned the principal if it was okay to write certain statements. I am concerned, like many others, that the will to win overshadowed the judgment of the current administration. The principal and the superintendent failed to protect the rights of these students and the rights of their parents, who at the very least should have had the right to acknowledge their child's involvement in the collection of these statements against Mrs. Steverson. The 10 weeks prior to the inquisition of the students, there is one thing certain, that many debates and opinions have been shared among students, classmates, teachers, colleagues, administration, school board employees, and thousands of community members concerning the treatment of Mrs. Steverson. With that said, it is easy for one to believe that even first-hand accounts of the situation could have been tainted by emotion, loyalty, empathy, and maybe even vindication concerning the matter. Knowing the facts and flaws of human nature, I am lost as to why students would be taken out of their already fragile learning environments and be used as pawns in a prideful game administration failed to collect statements during the proper procedural process, and that is the fact of the matter. Above all, students should be protected from this process, not put in the middle of it. And parents should have been notified and asked for their written permission before any of this happened. Even after parents expressed concern over the way the students were treated, parents, students, and school officials were surprised when students received letters from the law office in Tallahassee. The letter itself was enough to alarm many parents and students, but more startling was the manner in which the letter was written. The underlying manipulative and vague manner in which the author tries to obtain consent for questioning students without parental involvement becomes clear once the letter is read carefully.
Anyone else?
Yes, please.
My name is Christine Lacaze, and I live at 1580 Highway 179 in Bonifay. The statements and thoughts below explain concerns about the letter itself. In the second line of the statement, the case involves the teacher being insubordinate to her superiors. Itself alludes to guilt. It is not proven that Mrs. Steverson is guilty of being insubordinate to her superiors. That is a claim that is denied by Mrs. Steverson and has not been proven. For the statement to be made in this letter is defamatory in nature to Mrs. Steverson and could be interpreted as a true statement because of the manner in which it was written. 2, the statement indicating that your daughter's son is not being interviewed for his or her conduct. He or she was only a witness to an incident that occurred a couple of weeks ago. First, the author is attempting to gain trust and place the student in the role of a victim, one that should not have had to witness this matter. And secondly, the author states that the incident occurred only a couple of weeks ago. Clearly, it has been longer than a couple of weeks. Another attempt to minimize the length of time that has passed between the incident and the collection of material. 3, the author states I will be in Bonifay on Friday, March 6, 2015. However, a location or time to meet is never indicated anywhere in the letter. An obvious and deliberate oversight of the author to exclude parental consent or involvement. Only after several attempts and with the aid of school board members were parents able to obtain the meeting place and time scheduled for their children. 4. The author's play on words in the next section is deliberately misleading. He states, "Your presence is not required at the meeting, but your permission to speak with your child is required. You may attend if you want, that is entirely your choice." First, the author acknowledges that parental consent is required for him to speak with any students, yet further in the letter he states, "Please let me know if you have any objections to our meeting with your son or daughter. Otherwise, I will meet with son or daughter on Friday." So this means that by default, if a parent did not respond, their child would be interviewed by this lawyer. Again, with no signed consent from a parent. This type of consent is a type of permission not favored by most concerning student and parental rights. It is known as implied consent, a play on formalities, and without a call of objection and without written permission or express consent, these students were interviewed by this lawyer. The fact that parents are extremely busy and students are extremely forgetful, some letters were never read or never even made it home because the letters were sent home by the students. 5. There is also a concern as to who was in the room when these students were interviewed. According to the guidelines of investigations for Florida teachers, only non-biased parties should have been in the room while the investigation was conducted. It is our understanding that the superintendent and the assistant superintendent were also at Bethlehem while these interviews were conducted. This is very alarming, and we urge the board to investigate this matter, as it is one of notable wrongdoing. Furthermore, after parents had been denied the right to read or even see what their child had written in the statements collected by the administration prior to the student interview with the lawyer, many parents had to retain a lawyer to secure the statements that had been given to Bob Harris, an attorney with Messer and Caparello and the author of the letter. A clear violation of the Family and Educational Privacy Act, since permission was not obtained from the parents to share their child's information with this lawyer, as he had in his possession the statements written by the students. Only after several hours of debate did the parents obtain a copy, not the original as requested. This information is alarming and heartbreaking. Every day there are stories about the learning environment at the school. Teacher and student morale is at an all-time low. School board members, it is now that the opportunity arises for each of you to stand up for our students and stop this abuse of power and position over them. Put policies in place that will guide the investigative process and guarantee parental rights in all our schools. Thank you.
Abigail Watford, 1308 Gavin Road. I am 14 years old and a freshman at Bethlehem. I would like to start off by saying that all of you may or may not think it's my place to be up here and say anything. However, the situation regarding Ms. Steverson has affected me in a way each one of you would not even begin to understand. I was taught to stand up for what I believe in and to be honest. I also know that no one is perfect and there are two sides to every story. With that being said, I'm here to speak on behalf of Ms. Steverson this evening. I want to start off by saying what an amazing teacher Ms. Steverson is. She not only teaches the class, but she makes it enjoyable. I look forward to her class every day. When we are in her class, we work hard. Ms. Steverson has high expectations for her students, and that's a great thing. She believes in every one of us. Ms. Steverson is my favorite teacher and is just a great person. Ms. Steverson truly inspires me. No matter what she is going through, she's always making our class and me laugh. Any time that I ever feel down, Ms. Steverson puts a smile on my face. I know that she has taught me more than any other teacher, and I've actually kept it in my knowledge. Without rules, I wouldn't want to see what this world would look like. Without basic classroom rules, it would be impossible for any teacher to teach. And the most basic rule of them all are to be on time and present in class. By enforcing these simple rules, Ms. Steverson is maintaining classroom structure and preparing my generation for our future. Please understand that Ms. Steverson is simply a teacher who wants the best for her classroom and students. It is my hope that you school board members will do everything in your power to help support excellent teachers like Ms. Steverson. Thank you.
name is Tamara Chrysler, 3017 Highway 160, and I'm here to address the board today because of a concern I have from a letter I received on March 3rd, and this is the letter that I've just passed to you. This letter was addressed to my husband and me and was from Bob Harris, and Mr. Dixon and Mr. Jones's names were also copied on the bottom. I've made a copy of these for your own records. The content and purpose of this letter was to make us aware that our daughter was, quote, identified as a possible witness in a case involving a teacher at Bethlehem School. The case involves the teacher being insubordinate to her supporters. The teacher being referenced here is Ms. Steverson. And then parental permission was requested for our daughter to be interviewed by Mr. Harris, who is an attorney from Tallahassee. I want to just express my disappointment in how this situation is being handled, and also ask you as school board members if you are aware of all of this that was happening in this manner. On February 18th, my daughter, along with other students, were brought into the office at Bethlehem without any of us parents being made aware and without any of us giving permission. I personally do not appreciate dragging our children into a legal battle in an attempt to pick at straws and try to form some kind of a case against a proven veteran teacher who happens to be one of the best our children have ever had. The intent being to twist events and students' words into making it look like this fine teacher has done something wrong. There is something very wrong with this whole picture. There's obviously a much larger issue at hand. You discussed it in your 5 o'clock meeting earlier today, that of excessive tardies and absences. And it seems that Ms. Steverson is caught in the middle of this. She had requested to have help with this. She could not carry on with normal class procedures and lessons, and she has been caught in the middle. The only clear message Ms. Steverson has received is don't rock the boat. I applaud her in seeking a higher standard, a better path for our students, a basic foundational classroom standard, and when it was not supported, not cowering off in a corner, but saying enough is enough. She's not rocking the boat. She is trying to maintain a standard and teach a class. Ms. Steverson has consistently shown great courage and honor in doing what is right for the students of Holmes County through these 27 plus years that she has been a teacher here, and many lives have been blessed because of her great dedication to the students and to education through the years. Imagine what our teachers could accomplish if they did not have to deal with this kind of negative intimidation and control, or feeling threatened by those who are supposed to be their best supporters and advocates in the classroom. Until matters such as these are stopped, our downward academic spiral will not stop. It's time to put a stop to such matters and put our energy towards positive, honorable, and foundational building blocks that will begin to take us on an upward path. There are solutions. Thank you.
My name is Sally Brock. I live at 2306 Highway 277, Shipley, Florida. Is it my understanding that I will not be allowed once again to speak in front of this board?
At this time, Ms. Brock, it is.
Are you aware that you're in violation of Florida Sunshine Law?
We're working on our policy to correct that.
That you intend to violate my rights once again tonight?
That's our procedure at this point. This board's,
It's not my opinion. I think anyone from the public should be able to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman.
Randy Hendricks, J.W. Miller Road, Hartford, Florida. First of all, I'd say I've had kids in Bethlehem School for 20 years. Mr. Steverson has taught all 3 of them. I fully stand behind her position with her attendance and tardiness. And with that being said, I'll move on to the other issue of my child being interrogated without my permission. I have a big problem with that. I have asked for the original statement he wrote, and all copies of it will be furnished to me because it was obtained without my permission. I don't want my son a part of this witch hunt. stand firmly behind that lady right over there.
Have you received the copies?
No, I have not. Who do I need to see to get those?
Pearson, you got the attorney that retained law here.
You didn't return it.
No, I said I want the original statement that he wrote and all copies.
I asked him personally for my original, he would not give it to me. I want my daughter's original copy.
You asked Mr. Harris?
Yes, I did.
So did I. I did too.
Well, I did too.
I'm sorry, I didn't
What
hear
was
what
that?
Mr. Dixon said.
Yes,
I can't
please.
hear him.
Speak up, please. Cannot hear
If
you.
I can hear it myself, I'll repeat it for you.
Thank you.
I said, I will certainly check into that, Mr. Harris. I'm not sure if Mr. Jones has the originals or Mr. Harris has the originals, I'm not sure. As far as, I don't see why you have a copy of what your child wrote is a big issue.
No, not a copy.
You want,
I want the original and all copies. It was obtained without my permission.
You want it all because you were not given permission, you didn't give permission for him to talk.
That's correct.
So,
Check into it.
Anyone else? No one else, we'll close the hearing public. Move on to item 3, unfinished business, school board policy revision is tabled. And at our next regular meeting, we will have the draft for the board to consider voting. Move on to item 5, administrative programs, out-of-county state students.
you have a comment in front of you, guys. Four, one going to Geneva, one going to Macon, and two going to Jackson County. I got one coming here from Jackson County, one coming from Baldwin County. I recommend.
For the recommendation from superintendent, I have a motion.
I make a motion that we approve 2014-15 out-of-state students.
Motion by Ms. Owens, we have a second. Second by Mr. Johnson, any discussion? Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Justice? Yes. Ms. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Yes. Chair votes yes, thank you. The overnight out-of-state trips.
Okay, we've got Bethlehem High School going to Embry-Riddle Space Academy in Daytona on March 27th and 29th. Ponce High School senior class trip going to Valdosta. That's probably 1st of May. Poplar Springs senior trip going to St. Augustine, May 17th to the 21st. Possum High School English 3 class, college prep class going to the Shakespeare Festival in Montgomery, May the 8th. I recommend we approve these.
For the recommendation, we have a motion. I move to approve the trip. Motion by Mr. Johnson, we have a second. Second. Second by Mr. Justice, any discussion? Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Justice? Yes. Ms. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Yes. Chair votes yes, thank you. Item 7, consent agenda. To pay the invoices, PO, for the minutes from the last meeting. Move approve the minutes from the last meeting. Motion by Mr. Johnson, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Owens. Any discussion?
On the monthly financial report, Commissioner Hawkins is not here, is he? But what number is there, when you look at all these numbers, sort of that, what I call that rainy day fund that the district has, that reserve, is that, which line item would that be on our financial report here?
Right now, if If you look on the back of the first page with the chart, as far as the general fund goes, we've got like, this is as of January, $736,648. All reserves are not going to be on this. This is a monthly financial, so all the different reserves are not even in this document.
So that reserve fund that I think is 3% of the, is that 3% of the operating, general operations fund that we're supposed to have, is that number on here anywhere on this report or not?
The general, that's what it's written to me.
I mean, that's the number?
Right, that's the most current one.
Okay.
But there are probably a dozen different accounts: capital outlay, fixed capital, debt service fund. There's all kind of internal pay service fund. There's probably about a dozen of them that are out there. They're all considered reserve.
Right. But this number is uncommitted reserve. That number
What is there is what's actually in the account, the general fund right now.
Okay.
The money constantly comes in and goes out on a weekly basis.
Now, I do like this report. We're going to get this each month, this kind of report tonight. Okay. That's all I have.
Any other questions or comments?
As far as the finances, where do we stand on the 3%? Are we just above it? Are we close to it? Or
The last time I told Mr. Hawkins, which was about this, was probably first of last week, we're comfortably above it right now.
but it's steadily going to be going down.
When it steadily goes down, the money steadily goes in too, so it's in and out.
Are we in, what I should say, are we in better shape this year at this time than we were last year?
We're tracking probably 600,000 better this year than we did last year this time.
Yeah, if you look at last year, we were at 258, and we're at 736 this year. Our staff positions, is that at current?
We have, right now, including myself and the 5 of y'all, we have 732, I think, or 473.
No,
473.
470.
And that comes off our insurance rolls, which is exactly the number of people they have working here. That's the insurance report we send in every month to the Tallahassee.
Now, is that number the same as last year, or is it more?
It's probably about 4 less, I think, right now.
But you said it didn't include us.
That's a 5 less than 4, so.
Any other questions, comments?
Yes, I have some questions on the expenses. On the complete signs, $6,051, what was that?
I think that was possibly as an electronic sign over there.
I thought he was going to get the money out of his general fund to pay for that. Mr. Brown said he had enough money in
He
his...
saved it in his principal's budget, which is over here. They're allotted so much money every year, they can save it over forward, and he saved up enough this year his principal's
So
budget.
that came out of his...
Right, out of Ponciano's principal budget. It took him about 3 years.
And as far as the textbooks, Barnes & Noble, $9,650. Who are still getting textbooks?
I would guess Barnes & Noble, maybe Nooks, I'm not sure. I'd have to ask technology about that, because I'm not sure. Some schools use Nooks for some of the reading right now. I think Barnes & Noble sells Nooks, I think that's what they use.
Okay, and then Paxton Patterson, $2,145 for furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
That could be part of the dishwasher list, I'm not sure. I had to check on that one.
If you'll check on and let me know. And I'm always confused on this Regions Financial, $6,770 for out-of-county travel. What is that?
That's where they pay off all the different credit cards at a certain period of time every month. The ones that y'all carry, that I carry, when you go to a conference or whatever, the teachers carry. That's what it is.
And that's out-of-county travel for the whole month, or?
It could be for 20 or 30 people. I mean, it's a lot of things,
It's in that first basket, who it is.
you know.
Does this include like some of the employees that we have that are using the car? That comes out of a different pot if they're using the county car to go to work, right? That just comes out of.
That has nothing to do with that, no.
And what is the Simplex Grinnell repairs and maintenance? $5,033.
Simplex Grinnell, I think, has to do our cooling towers. They can have service with sometimes. Calcium builds up in the jets and they have to be, it's a very expensive process. Probably Bethlehem.
Is that the only school left that has the cooling tower?
The middle school has one, Holmes High School has one, Bethlehem has one. Popper Springs is not, Potsdam is not anymore. And there'll never be another one.
Are we thinking about in the future trying to go with the separate air conditioning units like we did?
We're gonna have to at Holmes High School because that one's about to fail, cooling towers. So we're starting to replace rooms individually as we can, so that when it does fail, we'll have most of it already done before it fails.
Any other questions concerning consent agenda? Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Ms. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Yes. Mr. Yes, thank you. Personnel recommendations.
Looking at the following. Hire Kevin Womble as teacher, head football coach at Holmes High School effective the 16th. Transfer Brad Johnson from teacher at Holmes High School to Bonfield Middle School effective 2/23. And amend the ending date on the family medical leave of absence on Annie Schneider at Bonfield Middle School from the 23rd of February to March the 6th. Those are my recommendations.
Heard the recommendations, Superintendent, do we have a motion? Move to approve personnel recommendation. Motion by Mr. Johnson, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Justice. Any questions?
I have a question on Brad Johnson. What does he teach, and what is he teaching the same subject he left Holmes County High to go to middle school?
No, he was PE teacher at high school. He will be teaching, I think, 6th grade science over there. We just had a science teacher leave and move off, so he basically replaced her.
So that's a replacement of the
Yes, oh, yeah. It just, she left to go take care of her parents out west.
So if he was a coach, is he teaching out of his field at middle school now?
He's certified in middle school integrated school science.
Any other questions? Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Ms. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bush, yes, thank you. Comments, Ms. Owens?
No comment.
Mr. Justice?
Had the opportunity to be in Tallahassee last week for some education and the legislation days, and that was quite interesting. Kind of gives you, you hear about how things work, but to see it in action and see how all the many wheels that are spinning and turning there, it was interesting. So appreciate that opportunity to go over there and got to meet with Representative Drake and Senator Gates over there. So, but appreciate the opportunity. So thank you.
Ms. Coleman?
Yes, I also went to the legislative days, and it was very informative. They were talking about changing the school start date to August the 10th, but that hasn't been voted on yet. But that's one of the things they were discussing. But I would like to make a request, or maybe we can talk about it at the next school board meeting. I'd like for the secretary to provide a summary of the public comments, just a brief summary to be placed on the minutes. You know, even if it's a short, a person from the public was here discussing attendance or something. You don't have to name the person, but at least we would know what happened when the public came, because there's no way we don't have anything on the minutes about who spoke, or we don't want to know who spoke, but we'd like to know just what they were talking about, what they were here for, you know. And, well, also, I appreciate the principals coming today, and I appreciate all y'all coming and speaking. And I'm very aware of your concerns, and I'm concerned about it also. And the principals, I have asked several times about at least one principal coming from the schools and giving us an update on what's going on. Mr. Superintendent, can you tell me if that's going to happen, or?
We have 5 tonight, so they were here, but we've talked about it at the last principal meeting, and it's just a matter of when they've got something particularly good to come tell you about. Because right now, they're all in the middle of FSA testing, so you can't really pull away a whole lot from that. But I mean, certainly they can come talk about their STEM initiatives or just whatever. There's a lot of good things going on.
What are their feelings about coming? Are they?
They don't mind. They were
They
here
don't
tonight.
mind coming? And then lastly, I'd like to request from the superintendent a written update on the number of students we have in Edgenuity and the total cost of the program, including the salaries, the training, the exact cost of Edgenuity, so we can compare what it's costing us now with Edgenuity as opposed to what it costs with virtual school. I've asked several times how many students do we have, and it's about, we've got a lot. I mean, I'd like to know a little bit more about the program and, you know, how it stands. I know there's a lot of expenses with Edgenuity, but I don't know, I've never gotten anything in writing. I'd like to get that from Mr. Superintendent.
I'll
at the
certainly
next
work on
meeting.
it.
That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson? No comment. No, sir. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Justice, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Owens. Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Ms. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah.
Chair votes
You know,